Okay, so welcome to our podcast. This is a little bit different today because this podcast is a spin-off of our radio show. This is my podcast, right? It's the Johnjay podcast. And this is the first time, before I introduce our guest, that my wife Blake is going to co-host with me.
Oh,
right? Because we got Regina and Rick Steele. You have a new book out. And I think, is it okay to cuss on this podcast? Because,
Yeah.
I mean, it's your podcast.
I wanted to ask that too.
Because, I mean, it's the book is called
Mother Fcked.
Mother Fcked.
The Anti-Perfectionist Guide to Surviving and Thriving in the Chaos of Modern Motherhood.
Wow. And it's not a parenting book.
It is not a parenting book.
Okay.
Absolutely not. No.
Because when I read the whole thing of what your book was, I was like, oh my God, she's gone through this stuff. She's gone through this stuff. Because you're a mother of 3 girls.
We have 2 girls and 1 boy.
Oh.
And then my older stepdaughter, who's 24, she basically takes care of herself now. But yeah.
And she is a mother of 3 boys.
Oh.
Yes. So I know the 3 things.
And Rick, so before we get really get into the meat of the book and stuff, I think there's an interesting little connection the 4 of us have, right? I met you, Rick, not that long ago, because I was at Jesse Itzler's house in Rome, Georgia. And I was doing sauning, and I met this great guy, and this great guy says to me, "You got to meet my friend Rick." And so you and I are connected. You know Jesse, right? She just got back from Jesse's house in Connecticut just a couple days ago.
Oh, wow. You did,
Yeah, I did
this
the
summer.
mastermind.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
It was the coolest thing ever.
Jesse's a rare breed.
Like I came back feeling like I expected it to be like kind of a networking thing, but it was so not like that. We made relationships. We pushed ourselves. I did Hell on the Hill 15 times. Thank you very much. That was amazing. And yes, Jesse has never met a stranger. He's the coolest guy. He's just genuine, nice, smart. I enjoyed him so much.
I think I call Jesse the best curator of people I've ever met. He is impeccable at just bringing the right people around him. But when you're how many people were there? 20 or 30?
There was like 40 people there.
Wow. So, but you felt like family when you left, right? Because that's the way it is with Hell on the Hill every year we go, and there's 150 people. And all of these people we consider great friends, except for we see them, most of them, once a year. Yeah, once a year. But Matt, I think, is who connected us.
Matt,
I've seen Matt 7 times in my life. 6 have been at Hell on the Hill, right?
It was she was telling me how, it was at the house. He just let people in their house. They just walk around. And,
there was no rules. I mean, he was like, people were walking around his house and it was upstairs and people stayed there. And he was, you know what, at the end of the day, like, he doesn't have to do this. Like, he can run off into the sunset and go travel and do what he wants to do. But I think he genuinely loves connecting people, like you say. And I walked out of there, like, vibrating on a higher level. So I feel like, oh, my gosh, I can go do my business now. And I've met some wonderful people that I've been communicating with the last 3 days. And, amazing.
Yeah.
And then also with your book, isn't he somehow tied, or does his wife write something in your book?
Well, no. So I just know Jesse through Rick.
Oh.
Because when I went to Hell on the Hill the first time, I'll let you know the funny story that got edited from the social media platforms because of Sarah. Thank God for her. But the first time I succeeded in 100 hills, I started getting sick in a trash can.
And they have it all on HD camera, and it's just a slow-mo.
Jesse's like over me with his phone recording it, and Sarah comes up to him and says, "You're going to take that off your phone right now, Jesse."
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but we all just know each other for hanging out and everything. I'm really good friends with Leslie, she was there.
Oh, she's
the chef.
amazing. In fact, I was saying that he needs to have her on.
Yeah, Leslie's
because
amazing.
I want to eat so that I don't have to wear sunscreen. That's my big goal from Leslie.
Yeah. Leslie
I
is
want to
the vegan
eat
chef.
clean enough where I don't have to wear sunscreen.
Yeah, and she's so great. And I've met so many amazing people through them as well, just going to Hell on the Hill. And then people will just reach out to us because they know Rick has done all the insane things with Jesse.
Insane, dude. I know some of the
They're
stuff
crazy.
Well, and Jesse and I's relationship began the same way, really. It's like the way Jesse reaches out to people, or really the way I reach out to people as well, which is like, kind of like a nerdy, hey, do you want to hang out? Like, you remember doing that as a kid, but we don't do that as adults.
Right.
And, you when you lock in on somebody, you'll be friends with.
Right.
just go for the ask, say yes or no, right?
Right.
And it was a yes. And then, now I find myself every time the phone rings, before I even answer, if it says Jesse on it, I look at Regina and I'm like, all right, get ready to clear the calendar for something, right? It's always something like that.
So. How long have you two been together?
4 or 5 years.
He said it right the other. I messed it up on our anniversary. That was totally my bad. I was a year off. We've been married.
We have been married since 2008, and so that's 17 years, and we've known each other now for 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So tell us about Mother Fcked.
Oh, Mother
Fcked. What a
Fcked.
great title.
Well,
by the way, can I say something real quick here?
Yeah.
The title's okay. Because this morning I had breakfast with, I think, your friend Kurt Warner,
the
Cardinals, and he said, tell Johnjay, I said, hey, but as I'm presenting this book to him, somebody across the table says, hey, Rick, tell Kurt about your book. And I'm like, I don't think I can say this around Kurt, but we're going to go for it. I'm going for it, right? And he immediately locked in, was like, I love it. My wife will love that. She'll be all over that.
Yeah.
So I made him buy the book right at the table.
Did you really?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I got to get them on the podcast.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Well, they're great people, great human being.
Oh.
I'm so glad he liked the name of the book.
Yeah,
Did
I
he
am
say
too.
it?
No, he didn't say it. No.
Brenda will say it.
not in public.
Yeah, I think Brenda will say it. Yeah, he was fun. But yeah.
So what inspired you to write this book, and what's the general consensus?
So for me, it actually was a bunch of nudging from a lot of people, in particular this guy. So I've been a health blogger for about 5 years. And that actually started because I went to an integrative health school, got certified, only to help myself with my health issues, because after I had kids, most of us don't really know what the heck is going on inside our bodies. We're just told by doctors, oh, you need these prescriptions to make yourself more balanced and, figure this out. And I witnessed my mom and a lot of other women go through like the ups and downs of doses on antidepressants. And I was just not really having that. So I literally threw a prescription slip away, went to an integrative naturopathic doctor, and I sat in the office with that one person for an hour and 15 minutes, and my mind was blown. And I said, there's a whole other world I had no idea existed. So that's kind of where it started. And then I got introduced to IIN, which is where I went for school. My cousin sent me a link because she knew I was getting really into the research of it. And I went through that just to heal my complications, which were a lot of autoimmune conditions and a lot of health issues. So it started helping me, but then I noticed a lot of my family and friends were asking me for advice, which most people don't come to me for advice. So I was like, okay, there must be something here. So I started giving a lot of people advice, helping them out, creating plans for them. And I was like, okay, maybe I should become a coach, because I didn't want to become a coach. I'm like, nope, totally not me. Not going to be a coach, not at all. But I eventually became a coach. And once I started writing the blog and everything, he was like, you have enough blogs to write a book. He's like, why don't you write a book? And I'm like, because I don't write books.
She doesn't have blogs to write.
I don't write books.
10 books. Yeah.
And is it all based off of your own, was it gut issues? Is it?
It's everything.
It's everything.
It's everything. And it was interesting because the amount of moms I discovered I was helping, that's where I was like, oh, maybe there is a void here, because I have so many moms asking me for help that, they're actually coming to someone who's not a doctor, who's not considered an expert in any way, shape, or form. They just want something simple, something basic, because their life is already full of crazy chaos. They don't want a 50,000 step plan, that's going to cost them ridiculous amounts of supplements. They just want something so simple. And it's like, that's kind of what I've created.
Something simple.
So simple.
Like what's a resolution or an answer for somebody that has a problem?
Well, especially autoimmune conditions, I help with a lot of autoimmune conditions. We start with nutrition. And a lot of BS is thrown out there about nutrition, and it's all false. It's completely false. Like, even listening to Leslie talking about food, it's individual. Like, the very first thing I learned is bioindividuality, is we are all completely different people. Like, not any two of us are going to be identical on what our needs and wants are. So you have to figure it out for yourself. So I kind of put women through somewhat of an elimination diet, but it's not really an elimination diet. It's just removing processed food from your diet and eating real food. It's that simple. Is like, what is a whole food? It's something that doesn't have to have a label. That's a food. That's food. Try eating that instead of all the stuff that comes in a box or a bag. And a lot of people don't believe it because they're like, it's so simple. Like, this is too simple. It's like, no, that's how it is. Like, try it. And then people expect it to be overnight because we're brainwashed into thinking, oh, well, pills help you automatically. So if this doesn't help me automatically, then whatever, I'm not going to do it anymore. But it's like, it's taking you how many years to destroy your body? Give it 6 weeks.
Wow.
Just see what happens. And it's amazing what happens in 6 weeks.
You know, my son who's over there, he will not put anything bad in his body.
Thank God.
Yeah. So, so we
Bravo.
just, over the weekend, he drinks raw milk, right? And he gets it. So we found this place that sells raw milk. And then I was talking about it on my radio show. And so this woman messaged me and she's like, did you guys ever get a hold of the raw milk? And I said, what's up? What do you got? And she tells me about a farm and this place. And I'm like, I'm all in. And she goes, and I can deliver it to you for $25. I'll do it. So Saturday morning, and I stay away from bread. I'm trying to, because, you know, bread's the enemy. My sister's always told me, and I'm trying to stay in shape, lose weight. But we bought this bread, bagels and English muffins that were made that morning with just the basic raw ingredients like starter and whatever. I don't know how to make
like
bread.
5 ingredients.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know how to make bread.
And they brought the milk, raw milk in bottles like from like back in the old days.
Oh, yeah.
And some yogurt and some cheeses and some jellies and peanut butter, homemade peanut butter. So it's 8 a.m. And I usually fast. I don't eat till 1, but I was scarfing down this bread and I was just ready for the bloat and to feel terrible, and I didn't. It was bizarre. Then we went to a wedding that night, and I ate bread, and I felt that. I was like, I've been eating bread like crazy. I'm gonna feel great. But you know, it was totally different experience, and I didn't get congested. Like when I drink normal milk, I can't breathe. This raw milk stuff was just fine.
Well, and it's funny. Like, it's like when people go to Europe, I eat all the bread and eat all the cheese that I want, and I don't feel horrible at all. And it's like, if I eat it here, forget about it, because you look at the ingredients list, and it's completely bonkers. Like, I always tell people, rule of thumb, when there's a label, under 7 ingredients. And if they have ingredients on there that look like it came from a chemistry lab, chances are it was made in a lab. Right. So don't eat it. Like, it has to be a whole food ingredient. So it's like, if you know where the flour is sourced, that's even better. It's like, we buy local Noble bread. Like, he loves the sourdough. Place. They're so good. And it's
so good.
Same thing.
Farmer's market. Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. It's a few ingredients.
Very few ingredients. They have like a simple ingredient list on their packaging, and they tell you exactly what's in it. And it's funny. That's why, like, so many people are like, homemade is better. It's like, yeah, because you know exactly what's going into it.
Well, it'll go bad in like 4 or 5 days, which is what you want it to do.
Right. Yeah. That's such a good point, right? Yeah.
Well, it's funny because Johnjay's dad came over from Holland, and he said one of the biggest surprises for him when he came from Holland was that you go to a supermarket and you buy groceries, because his family would buy groceries every 2 to 3 days, exactly what they needed for those days. So the eggs weren't ever in the refrigerator, you know, and the bread and everything we're talking about. It was just fresh, easy.
So did you cure your problems?
Almost all of them. The only one I still have to work on is Hashimoto's, and that one's pretty tough.
That's thyroid, right?
Yeah, actually, no, Hashimoto's is just autoimmune. So it attacks your thyroid, but it is part of your immune system. It does impact your thyroid to where it can trigger hypothyroidism, which a lot of women don't know about that. So I actually figured that one out because I did my own research on it.
You diagnosed yourself?
I kind of diagnosed myself because even my first naturopath didn't directly diagnose it. She found my thyroid issues, but I was like, yeah, there's something else going on here. So I actually picked up the book by Isabella Weintz, which was Hashimoto's Protocol. And I was like, this is exactly what I have. I knew it like right when I started reading it. And once I started integrating her protocols, I started to feel way better. So I only had to do hormone therapy for probably 2 years, and then I weaned off of it. And then I haven't gone on it since I had my explant surgery, which was pretty awesome. So
wait, so hormone therapy, is that testosterone, estrogen?
No, I just did HRTs. So it was just the replacement therapies. So I was doing Armour Thyroid.
Oh, Armour Thyroid.
Yeah.
Okay, you've done that.
Yeah.
Besides the food, what other things do you suggest for women to do? Like I feel like we're exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
Like from when the kids were really little, even now, like they're older and they're self-sufficient, but I feel like I'm so tired from the things that they require of me now at their age.
Yeah. Well, the biggest problem I would say that women don't really want to confront is that we are alone. And that's one of the biggest problems that so many women hate to confront about themselves, is that when we are alone, we don't have those communities. Like I grew up in a multi-generational house. So my mom had the help of my grandmother. She was part of a church. So the church helped out. We were part of a youth group. We were doing things to where my mom was not the organizer of my entertainment, my sports, my mom did not take care of a lot of that stuff. She was there, but she had the help of so many women that were also helping her. They were her village. And that's one of the biggest things I talk about in my book, is that we are such a neglected and isolated demographic of moms in today's society, because we have this brainwash effect that we have to do it all alone. And if you don't do it alone, you're a weak mom. And that's kind of what I've gained from just talking to a lot of moms, is it's like you have to show this macho-ness about yourself as a mother, that you can handle it. You can handle the pressure. You can handle the stress, even though what kids do nowadays, when I think back to what we used to do as kids, it's like my parents were hardly involved in any of my extracurricular activities. And now it's like,
when it gets dark.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to come in until it got dark.
Right.
Yeah.
There was
Right.
no,
And they never knew where we were.
Like we had that
No.
360 app. We're tracking our kids all the time.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Like I know when they're in college, and I know when they go to bed at night, because I can see, oh, Kemp's on Emerson. Oh, Jake's in his apartment. It's so terrible, but I'm like, I have peace when I know that they're
Same for
Right.
me. We let our kids
In
go out and ride their
bed.
bikes, and like
Isn't
our
that
kids are like, we're going to
terrible?
Target, and I'm like, they'll ride their bikes, and you go through 4 intersections and bikes
Right.
and everything. But I'm always on like my Find My, like, all right, they made it. They made it to Target. We're not in the news. I love it. You know?
When you say you're what nationality are you?
Italian.
Okay, see, I'm also half Mexican. And
Yeah.
that's very Mexican.
Very
what you said,
family.
very Italian. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to make a weird statement, but I feel that I can cure your autoimmune issues.
Oh, give it to me. Let's go.
It's going to be today.
Let's
I
go.
think, you know what? I'm going to give you the key to it. And I'm going to say it's the stem cells that I was telling you about.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So autoimmune, there's many autoimmune diseases. And a friend of mine, he's 34 years old. He has had pancreatitis and ulcer colitis, which I think are autoimmune, since he was 16. Every year, that dude would go in the hospital for 2 weeks and be almost dead. For every year since he was 16. He's 34 years old. I talked him into spending the money to go with us to Cancun to get stem cells. It was 2 years ago. He got stem cells, and having what he has, he could not have spicy food. He can't, it's terrible. I don't want to get graphic, but it's terrible. So he went and got stem cells that afternoon. After stem cells, the doctor said, let's go to this Mexican food restaurant and go eat some food. And Chris says, I can't eat that stuff. Doctor says, you'll be fine. He went, ate that Mexican food. Never had a problem. It's been 2 years. He's been off meds, hasn't gone back to the hospital, and I'm getting goosebumps telling you this.
Wow.
It's been completely changed from one stem cell treatment for autoimmune issues.
Wow.
Is this, so I've heard there's difference between the stem cells here and the ones you can get, like maybe Mexico, that's embryonic, or is that, explain that maybe?
They're from the placenta of a newborn.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, they don't really know what they are just yet.
umbilical cord?
Umbilical cord. Umbilical cord or
Yeah,
placenta?
not placenta.
Sorry, umbilical cord, sorry.
Wait a
It's a
minute.
woman
Hold
thing. I
on.
don't know.
What are you
I don't have
getting?
either.
I'm like,
Right.
what are you getting over there? No, it's an
Right.
umbilical cord, which
Right.
is obviously the very first stem cells ever to come to light.
She's
in
had it
the
done.
body.
He's had it done. I've had it done.
Wow.
Like I've done it like 6 times already, and it's just a game changer
Well,
when it goes in.
We're going to Cabo in a few months. Maybe we'll go down to.
They have
Yeah,
one.
they
just opened in
they
Cabo
have
in
one in
January.
Cabo. But
Oh.
interestingly enough, we were at a seminar. Johnjay was hosting a stem cell seminar down in Cabo in January, and there were several doctors. Was it Dr. Axe?
Yeah.
Which that had an autoimmune. Do you follow him on Instagram?
No.
I know.
You know?
Yeah,
Oh, you do.
yeah. He had an autoimmune
He was with us. He went and got stem cells with us.
issue, and he
Wow.
like cleared it. He's good.
I'm telling
I've
you.
seen Gary
He
Brecka
was,
talk
like,
about
so-
stem
Gary
cells.
Brecka was there.
So done.
Oh, Gary
He
Brecka.
was there with
Yeah.
us.
Wow.
on it.
That's amazing.
But
That's
wait.
why I had to agree to MC. I don't want to.
Yeah,
Nice.
but wait, I want to go back to the women thing, because being exhausted, like, what is your suggestion when you're exhausted? Like, I go to yoga. That's my like me hour.
Yeah.
I do meditation every morning for 20 minutes just to like just so they start off the day with peace, you know, and serenity. Like, what are some of the things that you suggest for those of us that are still exhausted?
The funny part is you can do all the meditation you want. You can go and seclude yourself all you want. You could go on a full week vacation by yourself and you'll still come back and feel exhausted and overwhelmed. So the reason I say we have to build a village and create that trust is we were literally just talking about how we are basically stalking our own children because we want to make sure they're safe. When you have a community of, it doesn't have to be just women, but like Rick is my community. That's how I kind of find my peace and calm, because if I didn't have somebody helping me out, I wouldn't entrust my kids being safe anywhere. Like our kids right now, currently our kids rode their bikes down to a mall that's about 3.5 miles from our house on their bikes. I haven't once checked in on them. They just know to send me messages when they're leaving a spot and getting to a spot, but that's more so to just make sure they don't get hit by cars. But it's
it's in Gilbert too. You know, that's a rough community. You've heard of the Gilbert Goons, right? It's rough.
But still, I don't feel like we have to stalk my kids, because once I have built this community just around my kids and knowing that there are other people out there that are looking out for my kids, I'm less stressed. So if it's not just me having to like keep on top of my kids' entertainment, trust me, I suck at it still. I'm horrible at like not being able to de-stress myself. I'm pretty bad at it. Our lives are chaotic. But if we don't have enough people around us that are helping us feel like, don't worry about it, we got it covered, we're going to be there for your kids. If something happens to your kids, I got you. Like, if you're out of town, that's fine. Like, you have to build that community because it does create less stress for you. Because I do look back to my household growing up. My mom didn't seem that stressed. I know she was, but that was a whole other story because she had a lot of mental issues. But it was like she had less stress because my grandfather would drive us places. My grandmother would cook us food. Like, we had multifaceted adults taking care of us all at the same time. It wasn't just my mom. And I feel like so many moms like you and me in today's society were like wearing 50,000 hats at the same time. And we're forgetting that, oh yeah, you can go do something for me. Let me ask you, because
I ask her all the time. I'm like, what can I do to help you? You have a way harder job than me. And I feel like I'm constantly on, but I'm like, I look at what she does and I'm like, I couldn't do that job. And so every now and then I'll kind of tap in, you know, like the WWE and be like, hey, can I come in?
Yeah. And it's like, you have to do that. And that's the hardest thing for moms in today's society, is because we feel like we have to do everything. Not to mention, you know, I felt this as a mom, not like really earning my place in society, because no workforce looks at moms as if we are worth a penny. Like, that's the sad part, is it's because you don't earn a paycheck, so you're not that big of a deal. And that's all. And it's not to say that that's what society like is. Like, that's not what it, but that's how it does present itself a lot, because there are still men, not these guys. I would definitely say not these guys, but there are still men in our society that look at a stay-at-home wife and just sit there and go, what do you do all day? Like, you know, there are those men that still exist out there. And it is sad because there's women out there that do the same thing too. Well, it must be nice being a stay-at-home mom. Yeah, you want to switch lives for a day?
There are days during when my kids were younger where let's say I had the day off, or she did something. One day we even switched jobs.
We did. We switched jobs.
I would never, ever in a million years, ever want to do
We
that.
should do that. I want to do
scary.
that.
We did. It was wild. He was
so
terrible
stressful.
at it. I wanted my job back really badly
It was
because I was terrible at his job.
Doing
right?
a morning show,
I know.
I missed a lot in the mornings of my kids getting ready for school and
Yeah.
everything. I never get to really do that. Occasionally throughout the 18 years of them growing up, I would be able to do that. And it was extremely stressful. Getting up, getting them ready for school, making breakfast, taking dogs for a walk, make sure they get to school, make sure they have their backpacks, make sure that. And I was just like, once every couple months, I can doing it every day. No freaking
It's the equivalent
way.
of like 8 phone calls, like 8 important phone calls you took and had to process that right there just every day.
I was mother fucked.
You're Mother Fcked.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I was like, no freaking way. By the way, okay, so wait. So build a community to help raise your kids. Eat food that has 7 ingredients or less, right? And what else? What else is the key to being a woman after kids and having a healthy life?
I think she was going to say lots of sex, but
That is actually very important. I mean, I'm not going to lie. That's actually very important.
Sorry, see? You guys got that on camera, right? We got that. Okay. Hold her to it.
But it is your relationship with your spouse or anyone that you are bringing into your community. Like, your relationship needs to be a strong relationship. You have to be able.
Not sex with the community.
No, not that.
I'm like, wait
not
a minute.
that level.
What?
So
Not that level. That level. But no, like, relationships, like creating strong bonds with other people and like with your spouse, especially if you have kids, is important, because your kids are going to learn firsthand how to be in a good, loyal, trusting relationship from what they see on a daily basis. You can pound in your kid's head verbally, you can't be in this relationship, this person's a jerk, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? But if you're in that same kind of relationship with their dad, they're not going to listen to you. They're going to be like, whatever, you're in this crazy abusive relationship. Why should I learn any different? So it's like, you have to really work on the relationship you're in, not just for yourself, but for your kids. You have to make sure it's a supportive relationship, because guess what? It takes more than one person to raise a kid. Don't know if you're getting that theme right now, but it's like, it's relationships, but it's also, I feel moms can't forget who they are, because you were a person before you had children. And that's the biggest purpose-driven thing in life, is moms lose who they are. Absolutely. Like, women become a mom and then they completely drift away from who they were before that. And it's like, it took me probably 6 years to finally be like, okay, I'm getting back into my groove of being who I was supposed to be. It took me, I had to take a long pause, but it's like, it's okay to be a mom for a segment of life.
Mm-hmm. Do you enjoy being a mom?
I do. I love, it's a battlefield every day, but it is one of the best jobs I would say I've ever had in my life. It sucks at times, don't get me wrong. It's not all like rainbows and butterflies. It's really hard, especially now we have 2 teenage girls and a preteen boy. So we're in that battlefield right now, but it's, I wouldn't pick anything else in my life right now.
Are girls harder than boys?
Yes.
That's what I hear.
A little bit.
I feel so blessed that we have 3 boys.
There's some days I walk into my daughter's room and I'm like, okay, I'm just walking straight out. Not saying anything.
Yeah, but you know what? It's nice though.
See the look.
I grew up with 3 girls, and so I have 3 boys. But my boys and I have such a great relationship. I mean, I talk to them every day. This one calls me every day at 4:15 his time, 7:15 my time, so I can always count on, hearing from him. Like Jake this morning, he's in Vegas, and I'm like, I need a pulse check. Just let me know, that you're alive and everything's okay. So I love that about having.
What about their dating life?
Boys.
What's your take on that? How do you feel about that?
Well, I love we only have one child that has a girlfriend right now, and she's amazing. She's
what about the
sweet
other ones?
and young. The little guy's a little bit of a player. And he's off to college, and he's off to college in August. Oh boy!
He was sneaking out of our doggy door in the middle of the night to go to girls' houses.
Oh,
yeah, it was a little much.
We'd have to find him on security cameras.
That's a problem when you have big dogs, right?
Right.
Big exits for kids.
Oh, and the retriever rats him out every time. Every time that kid does something wrong in our house, the retriever is barking like crazy, and I come down and I'm like, oh my God, he's gone. And then he's smart enough to leave the phone so that we can't track him.
Phone says he's home.
Yeah. Phone says
the
he's
dogs
home.
and the bed say he's not home.
That's hilarious.
Right? Yeah. But also back to I learned this early on, and that values are caught, not taught. So I love that, because that's important to us. Like, we try really hard to be loving parents and loving to each other, and work hard at that, so that hopefully they'll go off into the sunset with those values.
Show, don't tell. I mean, that's what we say.
Yeah.
Values caught, not taught. I love that.
Yeah.
But show, don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people, your kids will do everything they see you doing, and they'll do almost zero of what you tell them to do.
Right.
So let them see you doing epic shit. right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, cool stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the book Mother Fcked, what's the best way to get it?
Right now, pre-sales are on Amazon.
On Amazon?
So
Okay.
it's only available through Amazon, but you can go to my website, which is pretty easy. It's thereginasteel.com. And you can order on that. There's a lot of fun little bonuses that we worked our tails off to get.
And once the pre-sale's over and it's out, it'll be on Amazon?
Yep.
That's how the best way to get it,
Amazon. We're going to try to get it on some shelves for sure. Barnes and Noble, some of them.
Book signings and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Well, when you do book signings, let me know. I mean, I'll help promote it any way I can.
That'd be great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
If you buy 10 or more copies, too, anybody that buys
Yeah.
10 or more copies
Get a
gets
signed
direct
copy.
access to our OnlyFans. So
OnlyFans.
Stop it. No.
we're making a one.
No.
Right. Right. Hey, this is capitalistic society,
Right.
man. We got to make money on this.
Now,
right?
what about you and that
Right.
the product you and I were talking about that you were going to launch? Is that talkable? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
I was trying to tell my son about it, and I forgot. I know it was 4 products, right?
Yeah. So we're creating 4 products every man uses every day.
I like you have a thing for women.
I
Yeah.
know,
And you've
right?
got the thing for dudes.
That's
Good.
awesome.
This came out a little bit of boredom when I sold blinds, my blinds company. I thought I was just going to be like, okay, no more businesses. This is my second one. Like my archetype doesn't allow for that way of like just pulling back. Mm-hmm. What really fulfills me is creating, right? So, and especially going in and creating in areas I know nothing about, having blinders on and saying, I know nothing about this. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a formulator, but I want to change this for men, right? So, yeah, so it's the 4 products every man uses every day. It's your deodorant, it's your toothpaste, it's your soap, hair, face, body soap in the shower, and daily moisturizer. And built to 100% standards at EWG, the Environmental Working Group. No toxic chemicals, nothing that'll mess with your testosterone. My view on the men's personal care space is that it's gotten a little bit of wacky and out of control. Everything's triple berry bergamot flavor or this superhero thing that you see. Overly marketed, sensational, when I believe most men are just like, get out of my way. Like, I'm not in the shower to have a spa day. Right. I'm in the shower just to get clean so I can go do the stuff I want to go do.
Right.
And building this in a real masculine way, right? So in a way it says, we're going to ship it to you every 60 days. You don't have to ever think about it. But doing it in a way, a little bit absurdist, kind of how liquid death is done with water, right? Saying there's a fun way to do this that grabs attention with the marketing. But also the heart of it is it's clean product and it doesn't mess with you.
And is it available now?
The soap's done. We will be full launch in about 8 weeks with our full kit.
And what's the name of it?
Regimen, RGMN.
RGMN. So you can go get at Target.
You can sign up for. No, we're direct to consumer right now. We've entertained some retail opportunities, but I think my expertise is in direct to consumer. That's what I've been doing for.
That's how you did the blinds.
Last 25 years. Yeah, it's. I believe you have better control of your marketing and your voice to the customer when you are directly talking to them, as opposed to when you go on shelves and stuff. Now Walmart's talking to my customer, and I want them to see my voice.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Man, congratulations to both of you.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of something when you were talking about. I remember I went to your Instagram and I saw a video of a guy that I met a couple years ago, and then you just met him last week, Devin.
Oh,
yeah.
Devin,
Yeah,
how do you say his last name?
Devin.
Levesque.
Levesque, yeah.
And I saw him, and he was like opening up one of your safes and pulling out the craziest collectibles that you have.
Yeah.
And I think one of them was in Michael Jackson's Moon Man. It was something, right?
I mean,
He's
when you don't like money,
collection.
I mean, honestly, I tell people, it's like, why do you have all this stuff? It's like, because I don't like money. I mean, at the end of the day, I love what money does. I love vacations and doing fun shit like that. But I just don't like money. So what do? You end up buying Batman #1 and Michael Jackson's
God.
Moon Man. And I mean, I'm the most eclectic collector you've ever met. It started with baseball cards when I was a kid.
Right.
I still have a lot of cards. But it turned into, you're like, Keanu Reeves' guns from The Matrix are for sale. Let's add those, But it's a collection
And
from
it's
that.
all in your safe, or is it prominently
big-
I
displayed
have
somewhere?
multiple safe
Yeah.
rooms, triple biometric lock, bam,
Oh
cameras.
my
It's like
gosh.
Mission Impossible type
The
stuff.
Transformers
So how do you
came with it
enjoy
when-
them?
Oh, they're out. I display a lot of it out. Yeah, and they're
Okay.
always readily available to me right there. So we
Like
got
the video is
Yeah.
Devin opened the safe and he's like holding his Moon Man. By the way, what's interesting about the Moon Man is I work for iHeartMedia. That's my boss. The guy who's the CEO is also the guy that invented MTV. And
Oh, wow.
He invented the
Yeah.
Moon Man.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, this is the very first Moon Man from the very first MTV Music Awards in 1984, and this is the so Michael Jackson's Moon Man. This was for the for Thriller for the Song of the Year. So this is like the main award. This is like the Oscar for Best Picture, right?
Oh
As it relates to music, right?
Wow, I gotta get a picture of that.
So Bob Pittman would be crazy over that.
Out probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so when Michael Jackson died, his estate sold all of his stuff, and I mean everything. So we've got a pair of his tap shoes, and I've got his hats, from tour. But yeah, I mean, so the Moon Man was just one of those unique items that came up and said, it was the intersection of, I don't like money. That costs money. Let's add that.
I don't love money. You have these most bizarre things.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
That's awesome.
What about you, Regina? Do you collect anything that you put in the safe that?
It doesn't fit. No. I collect a lot of old dance shoes. That's about it. They're my dance shoes. He's gone out of his way because he knows I'm a huge old movie musical buff. So he's found a few of Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. He actually found my Uncle Hermes Pan's signature and bought it in an auction, which is kind of cool because those don't exist.
So her great uncle was a choreographer in Hollywood. He choreographed, if you've heard of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers,
of
right?
course, yeah.
And he doubled for Fred Astaire a lot. In a lot of the movies, you see Fred Astaire, and it's not Fred Astaire, it's Hermes Pan, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's where her choreography background came from, her love for that, her upcoming in school and going to school for that.
But that's what he collects for me. He'll find like these old, I don't even know how to look at these auction houses. I don't know where to find them.
Oh, and I know all too well.
He knows them very well.
Have me on speed dial. Yeah.
So our house is fun because boxes show up and I'm like, what'd you get this time?
Yeah.
What's your favorite musical of all time?
My favorite musical? Oh my gosh. Well, with the new ones coming out, it's really hard because there's so many good new ones. Like Hamilton is amazing. Wicked was awesome. But if I were to go back in time in an old movie musical, I would say I love Top Hat. That's probably one of my favorites because that was one that he worked on with Fred Astaire. But there's old movie clips that a lot of people don't know exist, like Me and the Ghost Upstairs was one that he did with Fred Astaire, which was one of the very only times you'll see them dancing together.
He's your uncle?
He's my uncle.
And it's
Hermes Pan.
Mm-hmm. Hermes Pan.
Just like Peter Pan, but Hermes.
Yeah. Mine is West Side Story, the original West Side Story.
Oh, West Side Story is a good one. See,
there was
so
also an old one. I think it was called Ships Ahoy. You ever see
yeah.
Ships Ahoy with Gene Kelly?
Ahoy, yeah.
Where he's dancing with Jerry from Tom and Jerry.
Yes.
I remember that when I was a kid. It was one of my favorite movies, too.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
That is old school.
Right? That is
very old.
So you found a Hermes Pan.
It was, listen, when you're in enough of these auctions, like they'll have these, secondary and tertiary items that show up that aren't high priced, but they're there, right? They came out in the state, and it was like it's mixed in with other stuff. And I found one, and I was like, okay, we got to buy it, right? Well, so her uncle won an Oscar. He's won a couple Oscars, right? For
he had Oscar, Emmy,
and those
Joffrey
are like floating
Ballet.
around there too. And I'm on the look for that. By the way, so if anybody knows where Hermes Pan Oscar is,
let me know.
Paying top dollar.
Do you know what did you hear about the cast of Back to the Future? What they're looking for right now?
The cast?
The cast.
I've got a few things. What do they need?
That's what I thought. It was all over the news last week.
I got Biff's hoverboard on that one.
They're looking for the guitar that he riffed with. They can't find it anywhere. And the whole cast, Michael J. Fox, friggin' Doc, they're all making videos going, if anyone knows where we can find this guitar, we want it.
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe they actually have stuff from Back to the Future.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got one of the actors' scripts. I've got that. We've got a few things.
I got a Will and Grace script.
Yeah.
What's the most expensive collectible you've purchased? Probably Batman. I would say that's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, Action Comics #1, which is Superman #1.
You have that one?
Have that one. It's 23 surviving units or something on planet Earth.
Did you go to Phoenix Fan Fusion?
No.
No, you're not. You're so next level. Collectible.
Yeah. I would say the most valuable is the only remaining prototype of the Apple Macintosh computer signed by Steve Wozniak.
That's crazy.
So the original Apple Mac, what happened was they would build these, and Steve Jobs was a fanatic about just destroying these before they went to production because he didn't want any of the technology getting out. But Jobs kept one, Steve Wozniak kept one, and a couple of other engineers kept one. So one of these came up for auction 5 or 6 years ago, maybe, and I was like, that's a one of one. Like that's a collectible.
Is
that's
it big.
Yeah, I mean, it's got its own little carry bag. I mean, it's got and the way it's distinguished by being prototype is it had the original 5 1/4 floppy before they went to 3 1/2 hard disks. So it's the only Apple Mac that exists with or vice versa. Maybe it's a hard floppy versus hard. But signed by Wozniak on the top.
That's
and it's,
nuts. Is that the only piece of technology you have?
No, I've got original iPhones from 2005, 6, whenever that year was, unopened. There's maybe 20 examples of those that exist.
That is so interesting. So
But space and exploration, too, is another thing I collect. I've got, a lot of Neil Armstrong's original moon landing stuff. So his space ball, his patch where he went to the moon with. I've got the coolest thing I think I have, which I may be able to either prove that the moon landing was real or not.
That would be, because that conspiracy
is his handwritten notes on the lunar space module for all the azimuth and math that they did to get that module to land on the moon. So I'm going to get that with somebody that knows what the hell to look at one day and be like, is this real? Wow. Yeah. So it's his training guide that you flip through, and he's got his own handwritten notes in there too of it. So,
dude, you both are so fascinating.
Wow.
Like, what the heck?
But we don't like money. She likes money. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I love money.
Yeah. No, she likes preserving money.
I liked.
She likes preserving
how to
money.
You don't like money because you also collect cars?
I have, yes, a lot of cars.
How many cars do you have?
Well, I used to have 52, I think. Now I'm down to, I think, 30.
Have you seen Rob Walton's garage?
Oh God.
Yes, and I got a Rob Walton story for you.
Oh Jesus.
I was just there
You're gonna
in
tell
his
it,
garage
aren't
2
you?
weeks ago.
We're at a political fundraiser. I won't say who for, because this isn't a political thing, but it was for Nikki Haley. So, so we're friends with Craig and Carolyn Jackson. We're at this political fundraising thing. I go up to Rob Walton. He's got Rob. Everybody has their name tags. It just says Rob, right? And I go up, I start talking to Rob. I'm like, hey, blah, blah, nice to meet you, blah, blah. And what did you say to him? You went up, and what was your comment?
I don't even remember. I just remember.
Well, she said, hi, I'm Regina. Nice to meet you. She said, what do you do for a living? And Rob's response was,
Oh, I think.
I'm in retail.
Yeah, that's what I asked.
I'm in
I
retail.
said, I do.
And I looked at her and I said, honey, he is retail. he's not in
like
retail.
The OG retail.
Yeah.
Right.
Rob's not in retail. He is retail. And she goes, what? I was like, Wall? She goes, I said, Walmart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart. Yeah.
I'm the least. I don't recognize famous people. I don't know any. Like, I could literally be. We were at dinner with Nick Jonas, one of our friends. We were talking to him after his play, and it was hilarious because I don't know much about the Jonas Brothers. I don't stalk people on the internet. It's just not what I do. So I asked him at the table, I'm like, how long have you and Priyanka been married? I was like, I jokingly said, I could Google this, but I don't like to internet stalk people. So can you just tell me, how long have you guys been married?
Yeah, I was their first interview.
No way.
Oh.
Wow, really?
I'm in their movie.
That doesn't age you at all.
Oh, you are? Oh.
It doesn't age you at all. They've been singing since they were 3.
I know. I was their first radio interview. I think they were 16 or
Wow.
16, and we've done a lot of stuff with them. A lot of stuff. They're good because Joe was born in Casa Grande.
Yeah.
So we kind of go way back with the Jonas Brothers. They're solid. I actually I begged their parents, Kevin Sr., because when we had 3 boys and they have 4 boys, I was like, you need to write a book on parenting. I said, please.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said the same thing to her mom.
Yeah.
It was like,
To
tell
the
me your
mom.
secrets.
Yeah, they're the nicest people.
Yeah, they were all homeschooled and everything. I'm like, I need to learn from you. Please tell me your ways. Like,
Well, for me, like to have these 3 boys, I was always curious to hopefully, like they would grow up and be friends, but they also beat the hell out of each other every day.
Right.
So I remember talking to Jonas Brothers at one point. I was like, so when you guys, now that you're as old as you are, do you guys fight? And I'll never forget, Joe Jonas said that Nick Jonas took a pencil and stabbed it all the way in his quad, and it went all the way through his quad. And I was like, okay, I don't think my kids have done that. Then we interviewed Ryan Reynolds. He's one of 4 boys, too. And he said his brother shoved his head through the drywall and poked a hole. And I was like, okay, that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
so
God.
Far, so far. Yeah.
You got to egg it on a little
We
more.
don't have
then.
the
Yeah,
violence.
right,
Yeah. So I feel like we've done a good job as far as keeping the peace in that department.
I have a brother. We didn't always fight, but we lived in a trailer, and he was on this side of the room, and I was on this side of the room. We lived in the same bedroom, but we had our twin beds on each side. But it was a battle. And he's bigger than me, but we would, not fight once a week, but there'd be something going on,
Right.
But
So you
we
get
love
it.
each other. There's no animosity. I think it's just what you do when you're brothers and your kids.
Wait, so you grew up in a trailer,
grew up in a 14 by 70 trailer in Ohio.
and now you own Michael Jackson's Moon Man. Why don't you write a book,
dreams
too?
come true.
I haven't never
baby.
thought of it that
does sound
way.
like you
Right,
you need to write a book.
I mean, that's a story.
Where in
right there.
Ohio?
Dayton, Cincinnati. So on the Ohio River area.
We
That's
lived on the
where
Ohio
he
River.
started his career.
No, wait, where?
WKRQ.
Q102 Cincinnati.
So I lived in this little. Maybe we talked about this, but I lived in this little town, 30 miles east.
Oh, yes.
Called Shiloh.
Yes, because you went back there.
60 people was our population of our town. Like my dad ran for mayor one year, and he was a landslide loss. He lost by 4 votes, so it was like 30%. But yeah, we grew up there. My dad worked at power plants, so he would go in, and when a power plant was built, we would move, right? So kind of, these power plants are built on rivers, right? So you move up and down rivers, essentially. So we lived in Indiana and Ohio pretty much most of my, I would say, kid, teen, up until when I went off to my brief stint in college life. So,
wow, we love Cincinnati.
Yeah,
it's
we
great.
did.
I got so fat in Cincinnati.
Yeah, Gold Star Chili.
No,
yeah.
Graders.
Graders
ice cream
Oh my
is the
goodness.
best
Oh
in
my
the whole world.
gosh.
We
LaRosa's
still
pizza.
order it.
LaRosa's
yes.
pizza.
I still can't find the pizza there. The closest I see out here is Spinato's.
Yeah.
But I still try to find that La Rosa's. I don't know what it's. It's like cinnamon scented, something.
Yeah.
Cinnamon. Yeah.
It's just so funny because your dad gave us a whole case of the sauce one year. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this is so much sauce.
Yeah.
What do I
Rosa sauce. Well, what's funny is we went on when we first got there because we had just gotten married. We went there like 3 weeks after we got married, and we'd never been really away from home. And so they took us on a tour of food in Cincinnati, and they took us to Skyline, and they're like, oh, it's chili, but it's kind of a different take on chili. And we're like, okay. I mean, it was the biggest plate of spaghetti with this chili on top of it, and like 4 bags of cheese on top. I was like, what is happening here?
What's they do, like the 3-way, the 4-way, the 5-way,
crazy.
they call it, right? Where it's different stuff. Yeah.
It was insane.
And then you eat it all, and then you don't work out ever.
No,
That's what we did.
No,
That's
we
true.
never worked out.
I never saw anybody work out in Cincinnati. I think it's
Yeah.
illegal, actually. I don't think they allow it. Yeah.
You know what's funny? Because I was, now I'm really into health and nutrition, trying to be as healthy as I can. And it's like, I think about it, I don't think at all in my 30s that I ever exercise, or my late 20s, early 30s, because we were in Cincinnati, we're in Houston, and I see how important it is now. I mean, you've run marathons, you do crazy stuff, right? So you've always been in.
I mean, I was athletic as a kid, and then much like I think a lot of guys' stories, as you get in your 20s, you don't do anything.
Right.
And same for me. Like I probably didn't do much from mid or late 20s to right in my early 40s. I would say. I mean, like the road to like Ironman literally started 12 years ago, where I got back out and did another 5K, and I'm like, okay, I can do a 5K. And it was a 10K. And then when you're hard charging, when you start getting, kind of latched on to something that's important to you, you're like, okay, I can do more. I can do more. I can do more. And then it, turned into Ironman triathlons and running marathons around the world. So yeah. I mean,
Am I allowed to tell him what your nickname was?
What was my nickname?
Our buddy Jay gave him a nickname.
Yeah, go ahead and tell him. I forget.
Chunky Rick.
Oh yeah, Chunky Rick.
Hey, when I met him with Chunky Rick.
That's hard to believe.
I'm 170 now, but I think I was 205 or 210. So I had a little neck and, pudgy and yeah.
Which was funny because when I met him, I was dancing about 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Because I was still going to dance school. And
oh yeah, she's ripped. She's super fit. I don't know what she saw in me at all.
Are you still dancing? Is that how you exercise?
I haven't in a while, but my cousin just yelled at me a couple weeks ago saying, you need to set up your dance floor and get out there for at least an hour a day. I was like, fine.
She's incredible. Ballet, jazz, tap. I mean, she does it all.
Do your kids dance
incredible.
Too? We do. Well, our oldest was a gymnast, and then our second daughter, she's actually a theater girl. So her tap is crazy to watch because she didn't start tapping until 2 or 3 years,
yeah,
2 years ago.
Maybe, yeah.
And she's 13 now, or 14.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's 14 now, but it's so funny to watch her tap because I'm like, man, you dance just like Hermes too. Like it's so crazy because she picks it up so quickly and it's not all of our kids do actually.
What do you do for exercise? If you're eating right, you have to exercise, right? And you did Hell on the Hill.
Yeah. Well, majority of my exercise is the NEAT, like most moms, is the non-exercise activity, whatever that last word is. I can't ever remember it. Technique. No, it's like blah, blah, blah. But it's like literally I'm never sitting down. I don't sit down during the day. I'm constantly moving around. I'm picking up stuff. I'm cleaning the backyard. We've got chickens. I take care of the chickens.
But she still goes for little runs and hikes and
Because I see your runs. You'll post them sometimes. I'm like, no freaking way. Like,
yeah, he's crazy. No, I'm not at that level. No.
Do you drink coffee?
Yes.
You do? Because I just read an article about how great it is for women to drink coffee.
It is. It's actually good for your brain, too.
What do you, like, what, a cup of what? Do you make it yourself? Where do you get it? Like,
I literally start my day off every morning. I get Rise coffee, my mushroom coffee. I drink first thing in the morning after my cup of water. And then I have Purity. I order Purity. It's whole beans. We just grind them in our coffee grinder. But I get it on Amazon because it's a clean, organic, third-party tested, because I actually started noticing I would get headaches from coffee, and we were drinking the Nespresso pods.
Yeah, and you heard about like what these Nespresso pods can get? Like they can get mold in them, and you don't even know that there's mold inside your pods, depending on the climate they're setting in or whatever.
Wow.
But you got these, you got ground coffee in a pod. It's air sealed. But like if it's setting in climate.
Same as a Keurig, right?
Yeah. Same as Keurig.
Yeah.
And the coffee beans they use are full of pesticides and gross chemicals, which I have found I'm extremely sensitive to them. I've noticed that with my wine, because I'll drink red wine. Not like all the time, but when I do, I always
5
drink.
glasses a day. She's fine.
That's the secret.
That's the secret. That's how you keep afloat.
She just came in last night, like after we came back from Sedona last night, and like she was in the house for like 5 minutes, and there's a glass of wine. I'm like, I mean, it was long
the
drive home.
Tonys were on. I want to watch it. I'm like,
yeah. She's driving back, and I flew back with my son, and I'm like, we'll beat you guys home, and the flight is 26 minutes from Sedona. And like we're at home, and they're still at like Barry Divine getting acai bowls.
Yeah, that was a long drive home.
It's the best, right? Yeah.
Acai bowls are good for you, right?
Is it healthy? I don't know. You know what?
It's a sugar bomb.
I think it's sugary, right? But every time I have one, I'm just like, this is the cleanest I can be eating.
Because
right?
I'm trying to. There's a place that opened up by us. What's it called? Pliables. And they have
Izzy loves
papaya,
them.
and then they got coconut base, and they got
Banana base.
Yeah, and so I went in out, and I thought I'm going to be here every day. And then I got a bowl, and I thought it tasted so sugary. I thought this can't be good for you, and I haven't been back since.
Yeah.
But if you tell me it's good for you, I'm gonna go back.
It's good once in a while. It's kind of like ice cream. I'm not going to tell people to swear off ice cream, but like once in a while, it's a good treat, right?
Yeah,
so,
Pliables wants to sponsor the podcast. I mean, it's
Yeah,
great.
let's go
It's
for
a great.
Pliables.
It's
Yeah.
a great.
Well,
Barry Divine,
Leslie
first
calls
Right.
those things because there was a truck that came to Jesse's event that had a banana base, and she calls it nice cream.
yeah.
Nice cream.
Nice cream.
That's
Those
cool.
are actually really good. I actually love banana ice cream.
Yeah,
It's so
I thought it
good.
was really good. I've never had the banana base before. But
Yeah, it's easy too. You just cut up a banana, freeze it for 30 minutes, and then blend it up.
Yeah.
Boom. There's
Did
your
you just play
ice cream.
wiffle ball at Jesse's? Did he do that in the side yard? We always have this wiffle ball game before Hell in the Hill, and it's 100 guys will step up to the plate, and it's just I don't know how you eliminate. You get to keep rolling back around and getting hits. You hit until somebody gets you out. But imagine now you're hitting against 100 people trying to catch your ball. Essentially, like it's getting hits hard, right? And then it'll rotate through and.
Yeah, and the kids usually crush the adults, of course, at it, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you guys for coming and being on our podcast. I mean, the first time her and I did it, I think you were awesome.
This
That
is the
was
first
great.
one. That's
That
amazing.
was
Yeah.
It's the first one that
Yeah.
we've done as a couple.
Yeah.
As a couple,
yeah.
we've done
No, you've never been on a podcast with me before, have you? Interviewing somebody?
no, not
I've
interviewing
interviewed
somebody.
you before, right? But I'm not sure when we're going to drop this. But if it comes out, Amazon, search for Mother Fcked.
Mother
Yeah.
Fcked.
Mother Fcked.
With the
Get-
star.
Yeah.
With the U.
Yeah, because I know you're trying to sell. I've been watching you on social media. You've been trying to sell.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
my job for the next however long it is going to be I'm a bookseller. I'm building a men's personal care line.
There you go.
That's what we're doing.
Well,
yeah.
I want to help you sell the books.
Yeah, we're going to sell some
you guys
books.
are awesome.
I think,
Yeah,
honestly,
thank you.
I will say, I wrote a really bad book. And I say that compared to what she wrote, it's incredible. But this needs to be in a million women's hands. Like it's that good. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like she did an amazing job.
So your book is out. You have a book out
I've had a book out for a while. It's called 30 Days to Launch. It's been out for 5 or 6 years now.
about.
Building a business, 30-day basically war plan to going from like I just have an idea to help me have a really shitty business in 30 days, which is what it will be.
She's starting a business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have a dog?
Oh, we
do.
do.
Yeah. So we have Love Pup Foundation.
Oh, I know.
Which
Yeah,
is our
right.
dog shelter. And over the last 11 years, I have figured out that we can spay neuter and we can microchip all day long. But what's happening is people are still turning in their dogs after they adopt them.
Yeah.
And the problem is they're confused. So they go to the internet, they try to figure out what to do with their dogs, and they can't figure it out because there's 45 different, responses
Voices,
to what they're asking. And so they turn the dogs back in. And we have a dog that's coming in tomorrow because it nipped at a 8-year-old. They've had the dog for 8 years. I'm like, what? Somebody wasn't watching the dog. Something
Right.
happened, And if you weren't watching, like what's happening, maybe you could have gone to Love Pup Plus and figured out like this is,
So
this
as
is
Love
what you
Pup
can do.
Foundation, she started Love Pup Plus, which is an app, right? That's going to have.
It's going to be an app. Right now it's a website.
But it's going to be like anything to do with your dog. Like, how old is your dog?
Oh, 9.
So if you're like, hey, it'll give you updates, right? Hey, your dog's
Right.
9. It's time
We
for you
started
guys to
Gotcha
do
Day. We started Gotcha Day. We go through the life of your dog. It has a personalized experience. It has content, AI component, and then we have recommendations for product.
Oh, that's amazing.
I
Yeah,
love
cool.
that.
Yeah,
That is
it's
really
going to be cool.
Yeah.
And it's at
So
its beginning
amazing.
stages now. So if you go to lovepup+.com, if you wouldn't mind signing up as a Love Pupper, it's free. Then we're going to be asking questions and doing beta testing and all kinds
That's
of
very
stuff.
cool,
That's
actually.
so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so you're just matching dogs with foods and temperament and what to expect. And because you're right, like after 80 years, something weird doesn't show up with a dog in a family.
Right.
Like it's-
What to
Right.
expect when you're expecting.
Right.
Or the
Right.
bump.
Yeah.
It's exactly that for
Oh,
dogs.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
for dogs, which
But then
is
there's also going to be
awesome.
content and shows on there and all kinds of videos and cool stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think I think I might have told you, but I've got a 25-year-old. She's rescued dogs here in the valley since before she could drive.
Yay.
16. She's rescued 4,000 dogs on her own. Like she's been held at gunpoint. She's been everything.
That's awesome.
I've been almost held at gunpoint with her rescuing dogs, and it was. But she's a champion for rescue.
Yeah,
That's what she
that's
does.
so
Our
cool.
dog, every dog we've ever had has been from Kylie.
Yeah.
Do you have, because did you say she specializes in
Malinois.
Now she's trained in Malinois, so she trains Malinois for like basically Secret Service.
Right.
And then also
There's-
does.
those are the
Is that what you
most
have, a Malinois?
amazing
No,
dogs.
we have a
So
boxer
smart.
bulldog.
Oh, that's
A boxer bulldog mix?
Yep.
Yeah. He's
90% boxer.
Cute.
He's a
and then
cutie.
10% bulldog.
Wow.
He's a baby.
That's
He was
awesome.
a little rescue. Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
We have 6 dogs. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's chaos in my house.
Yeah, Kylie's
6 is a lot.
How
Oh,
many
my
Kylie
daughter has
have?
like 14 personal dogs.
Oh my God.
Yeah. She's
Because she will,
beat
like,
us.
she'll take a dog that's their personal dog, and if it can't get adopted out, or it's
keeps
impossible, it just
Yeah.
becomes her dog. Like because she,
Dude, we got to get her to the shelter.
yeah.
I know, we gotta
That's
get
what
her
I
over to
was
the
thinking. I was
shelter.
like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
Because
so
she's
great.
she'll still rescue.
She's a dog magnet. I mean, like if there is a dog that's on the streets, like they're like magnets. I'm sure you're
Yeah,
that way
they
too.
find her.
Where
Oh
you
my
just
God,
there
she's
you
just-
are. There's
Yeah.
Kylie is like walking to a random Walmart in Oklahoma. It's like there's
What happened to her in Vegas?
there's a rescue.
It
right?
happens to me.
all
What
the
happened to her in
time.
California?
It has never happened to me, and I'm
Like,
pretty
she's got
observant
the
of my
dog radar.
surroundings, right? Yeah.
I know. I was watching my son play, and I ran into a lady that was having trouble with her dog. I'm like, oh my gosh, they just come to me,
the dog radar.
right?
Dogs and people come to her all the time.
Yes.
She called me the other day. I was like, no, you can't. Like, can we take in their dog? Can she live with us? No. You take
I know.
one
I
or
was
the
going to
other.
take this lady's dog in. Well, yeah, I'm still working on that. And he's like, she cannot live with us, but you're welcome. She's in a domestic abuse situation. I was like, oh, I feel so bad for her and blah, blah, blah. But
Unbelievable. But anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Mother Fcked. Amazon. Buy it. Okay, so welcome to our podcast. This is a little bit different today because this podcast is a spin-off of our radio show.